Hi, everybody. This is
Hello.
Dan and Devin, and this is a Curious Miniature Podcast, a podcast about learning and growth in the art of miniature painting.
This is my co-host Dan Dougal.
And this is my co host, Devin.
So, Dan is a wonderful artist. He's a good friend. He is very curious by nature. He likes to try and explore new things. He's a mentor and an instructor, and the occasional curmudgeon.
Yep. Just don't get me talking about politics. So, Devin has been painting competitively for 7 years and has won a variety of awards for his art pieces around the United States. He's an instructor at places at Nova, Adepticon, Kubla Khan, and at various events at his local neighborhood. He's constantly trying to expand his horizon, and he's also a very curious person by nature.
Yep, that's it. That's me in a nutshell, baby.
There you go. So, Devin, what you working on these days?
I'm working on a shadow box diorama. It's
Oh, very cool.
it's something that I've never done before, and
Neat.
like kind of one of the things that you and I have bonded over in multiple long deep conversations and things is just
Right.
trying something new, getting outside of your comfort zone and just kind of expanding. And I've never done something in such like a focused perspective, and I
Nice.
think it's going to be really, really cool. It's a fun little adventure. That's for that's for sure.
Right?
Definitely
Awesome.
experimenting with a lot of stuff of like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that's half the projects, half the dioramas that I do. Where like I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just like I've got some place I'm trying to get to. So
Oh yeah, you got to figure it out along the way. What are
Yep.
you working on?
I'm currently working on a Malifaux commission. The
cool.
third of 6 pieces is the one I'm working on now. It's the All the World's a Stage and Hidden Allegiances are the two
Okay.
boxes that I'm working on now. And
Malifaux's
currently working on
tricky.
Pandora. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Malifaux is tricky. It's got that. I guess would you call it true scale? I don't know, but it's a very finicky scale.
They're small and the models are very finicky to assemble. Like some of them go together really well, and some of them I'm like, I don't know. And some of the pieces are very tiny, so you got to be very careful not to lose them in the carpeting. And,
I've done it.
Right?
Yeah.
The worst thing in the world is like trying to figure out how to like replace a part that you lost that's for a commission. Like if it's a piece of my own, like you kind of deal with it. But
It is
for a
what
client,
it is. Yeah.
But for a client, you try to be a little bit more careful and not lose pieces.
I had one of those instances when I did a commission, and I did a limited edition Malifaux commission, and I dropped a piece in the parking lot.
Oh,
And
no.
Off one of the arms just went boom into the nether realm.
no.
So I had to like panic call somebody to help me like figure out how to sculpt it. So
no.
I resculpted the arm as best as I could and got it all taken
Right.
care of. And I think I did a good job because the client was like, "Love it." Didn't notice a
Awesome.
thing. It's like, yes.
Awesome. That's the best, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When the client's
Well,
like,
they were
"Oh, this looks great," like, and they don't notice. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's great when the client does not notice like all the mistakes and that sort
Yep.
of thing. But,
Yeah.
but
I mean, they were going for $300 on eBay if I needed to buy a replacement set. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
that kills your cost right there.
Oh, pretty much exclusively. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the topic today, Dan?
Well, the topic today is repairing your relationship with your painting, right? And this kind of was born out of a conversation you and I were having at Adepticon, which is
Yeah.
just not too far away. Why don't you go ahead and introduce it?
Yeah, not a problem. So we were having a lovely conversation, and you were telling me a story that we'll kind of
Yeah.
get into in just a minute.
Yeah, we'll get there.
About you kind of examining yourself and what was going on in your brain, and there was this kind of disconnect. And you had mentioned this phrase, which was, "I had to repair my relationship with painting."
Yeah.
And I mean, Adepticon's what, a month and a half out now? I can't.
It's
get that out
about
of my
that,
brain.
yeah.
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 It's been stuck in my
Yeah.
brain. And so, after Adepticon, much like after these events, you kind of get back home, you're in, energized and excited about all of the different people that you get to see that you'd only get to see every so often. You're inspired. And
Right. Oh, yeah.
also, actually, at the end of it all, you're kind of relieved. You're like, okay, I don't
Yeah.
have that pressure for a little bit, right? So,
Well, and you come home recharged too, because like these conventions,
Yeah.
like Adepticon, the places that we go, you're always hanging out with great friends, and you're talking about a variety of different topics. Usually, not always, but often about miniature painting and things that we've learned and things that that we want to share with each
Yeah.
other. And so I almost always come back really recharged. Yeah.
Yeah, I come back. I come back really, really like inspired that like, oh,
Yeah.
this person who's this like top level painter,
Mm-hmm.
I got to chat with him, and he had really good words to say about X, Y, or Z, and it's
Oh,
like,
sure.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm getting closer. I'm getting better,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I got home, I was like, I'm not gonna look at my painting desk for a few days. I'm just gonna kind of relax, gonna play with the
Yeah.
doggo, maybe watch a movie, play a video game, whatever
Right.
it might have been, right?
Right.
And then I had basically a monumental task of reorganizing and redoing my painting desk and getting it set up for the next projects. And I have this bust that I took a class from Krzysztof, the Polish painter,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it's just a primary mixing kind of situation, and it's this small academic bust. I was like, oh, I'll fart around with that a little bit while I'm getting some ideas
Sure.
cooking.
Sure.
I got it all set up. Everything is good to go, and I just kind of froze. And I don't know, I couldn't put the paint to the brush, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, okay, well, maybe it's a little too soon. So got up, did my thing. But then every time I kept coming back to the desk, I kind of had this like, I don't know, like this anxious feeling of like
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. There's a lot of
How
these
long?
different
How
things.
long was it between like attempted sessions, if you will? Like you said, every time you came back to the desk, like was it an hour later, a day later?
It was so the first session after Adepticon was like 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I couldn't do anything, and I
Right.
just thought like I still need to unwind, right?
Right.
Then after that was like a couple days later, and then it was another day later, and then it was a couple days later, and I started getting this in this like cyclical habit of motivation, get here, and then I feel like I can't do it, right? And then I'd leave, and then I'd feel like guilty for not painting, and then I'd come
Yeah.
back to the you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's this whole
Yeah, yeah.
cycle, and
Yeah.
that
I should be
phrase-
painting, right? I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
be.
and
You
that
start shooting
phrase-
all over yourself.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And repair your relationship with your painting. That just kept like kind of talking in the back of my head. And
Yeah.
so I started thinking a lot about that, and I just started thinking, well, maybe that's kind of in order. Like after our conversation, it's just been stuck in my brain a little bit. And I'll tell you one of
Right.
the things that kind of helped get me off over that first speed bump was I had a paint night with some local friends. And so we all
Sure.
got
Okay.
together, and I kind
Yeah.
of felt like a little obligated. Like, well, my 3 or 4
Right.
buddies, they're all going to be painting, so
Yeah.
screw it. Well, so I brought the bust, I did my color mixing, I did all of the different things, and I hated every single paint stroke I put down on the bust. But that,
I mean, that
kinda
happens
helped-
sometimes, right?
Well, it kind of shook a little bit of that out, right? Like
Right.
Knocked it off a little bit. Well, then the next time was a little bit easier, but I'm still struggling from time to time.
Yeah.
And I've kind of narrowed it down to maybe 2 or 3 things. And I think one of them was / is just tired, right? Physically tired, right? Coming after this whole event, and you're finally finished being under the gun, and you're just like, I just need some time to relax, right?
Right. Right.
And then I
you got to
think the other
recharge.
thing-
You got to, yeah.
Yeah. Then the other thing I think I don't like saying suffer. That's not the right word. Deal with, maybe, or confront a lot is that imposter syndrome. Right? Because getting a chance to see these amazing artists at an event and get to see these things, I'm comparing myself a little bit, but I'm also really inspired. But then I look at my stuff and I kind of have this like, oh, I don't belong. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah,
Well,
those are kind of
imposter
some of the
syndrome,
things.
that's going to be a whole other episode, I think.
Oh my gosh!
At some point.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it affects, like, those kinds of things affect us all. Yeah. So are you mostly over it now? Do you think?
No.
Okay.
No. But
And that's fair. Like, it took me months to get past mine. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, however, like maybe this isn't the right move for everybody. I'm working on this shadow box diorama, and I'm really excited about it because I've never done it. So
Yeah, good.
I'm able to push through just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I still have that initial feeling of like, oh boy, how am I going to screw this up, right? And then I have to kind of like, no, stop. This is fun. This is exciting.
right. Yeah.
And once I start going, I can usually kind of drop into that flow state really quickly now.
Yeah.
But I still, man, I still go through that, like, internal struggle and stuff,
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is like, and this is important, I think, for the audience too, is like to understand that, like, you're not alone. You're not the only one. We all go through it. All of us, right? And it happens to all of us at various times. Sometimes we're on top of the world and everything's coasting downhill, right? Everything's easy, everything's right.
Yeah.
And other times you're climbing the mountain, and you're just like, every step is a struggle.
For sure.
So it just, I mean, and you mentioned something else too there that is really, I hear come up a lot, right? Is this the idea that like, I'm just tired, I'm exhausted, right? And I don't have any energy, right? Sometimes it's not motivation, it's your body's energy, right?
Yeah.
And if you're tapped out, like a car with no gas is going nowhere. Right?
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the
Right?
truth?
And so if your car is out of gas, like, you gotta get
Fill it
to a
up.
gas station. You gotta fill it
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah.
And however, and different people fill up their gas station, gas tanks in different ways, right? They, sometimes it's playing games, sometimes it's reading a book, sometimes it's just like taking a break. There's no shame in just taking a break and say, you know what? I'm not done painting, right? I'm not done painting in my life. But I just need to recharge. I need to get caught up on sleep. I need to get, like, just, a change of pace for a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think that thought process is a very healthy process, because you're switching gears into being more intrinsically motivated versus extrinsically motivated. And that's something that, you and I have chatted a little bit about, and that we can kind of discuss a little bit later on about all of this, in that
Right.
you take that time to fill up your gas tank, recharge your battery, whatever metaphor you want to use.
Right.
And that helps you push just a little bit more forward. And I think also there's something to be said about putting that project, that passion, that whatever, you name it, on the
Right.
back burner and let it simmer a little bit, so that when you come to return to it, you're not doing it out of that, like, guilt, that
Right.
what I should be.
Right.
It's your hobby. It's your back. Like, what do you mean you should
Yeah.
be? You're an adult, right? Like,
Right.
you shouldn't be doing anything, right? Like,
Right.
it should be something that you're, I'm looking forward to. I'm pumped, right?
Well, and even that, like, I should be. Well, not like I should be looking forward to this, but I'm not. And then you start, like, down that spiral, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's you should be doing whatever it is that you're doing, right? Because that's what you need right now. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
You might think, well, I should be painting, or I should be writing this email, or I should be doing this or that or whatever. And if you just don't have the energy, like life is tough, and
Yeah. Goes in waves,
Right?
right?
and yeah, in this economy, are you kidding me? Right? Like,
Sure.
it's a wonder any of us can make any progress at all, right? So, but yeah, it's like it's helpful to kind of get past that idea of, you know, I should be, and really beating yourself up over the fact that, like, I should be doing this, and then you start like really, I'm trying to I'm looking for the word. I mean, you're just beating yourself up, right? And and you start down this negative spiral of, well, I'm not good enough, or I need to be more motivated, or I'm not disciplined enough, or I'm not this, I'm not that, and I'm not, and I'm not, and I'm not, and it's me that's not, and suddenly you're thinking, well, I'm just not good enough. I'm a piece of shit, and why do I even try? And that can take you into some really deep, dark places like that you don't want to go to.
Oh, yeah.
If you let it. So, I mean, one of the things, it was funny because I was reading a book earlier today, and I was thinking about this because I'm constantly like, I'm usually working on 2 to 3 books at a time, and usually one of them is something to do with either like psychology or kind of it's kind of in that self-help sort of range, right? So things like Atomic Habits, right, is one of them.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's not always applicable, but it's a great book. But so I'm usually got a book like that kind of in the mix, right? And I was thinking about that today as I was reading another book, which was that, I'm constantly, I find myself constantly tending to my mind garden, right? I'm constantly like, because if I don't keep like the weeds picked, if I don't keep the flowers nourished, if I don't keep like my mind actively thinking on, positive ways to engage with my art, with my community, with my friends, with my wife, with my son, right? If I'm not, for me personally, it can be easy to go down a hermit rabbit hole and just isolate and just spiral negatively.
Yeah, no, I very much relate to that, right? Like, they say like, oh, the artist is his own worst critic. Mm-hmm. And it's fine to be critical. It's another thing to be like overly deprecating, right? And so I like that. I like that because you're nourishing what needs to be nourished, and you're trying to do your best to remove what needs to be removed,
right?
So that you can do the thing, whatever that might be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So on that same kind of a note, sorry about that. Same kind of a note is, what are a couple of things that you like to do, right? To kind of keep that, motivation is not the right word, but like keep that motivation or that fire or that passion, or how to keep that kind of stoked, right? How do you weed your garden, I guess?
Well, I guess there's a couple of different things. One, I'm constantly reading something that I find useful and uplifting, or usually it has to do with like a psychology. Like, for example, I'm reading a book right now called Behind the Brush, and I'm sure I'll talk about this book more in future episodes because this book is amazing. It's by Frederick Mickelson. I just found out about this book at Adepticon. I came home and I ordered it, and Amazon took their sweet damn time getting it to me. Because I don't know if it was back ordered or what, but I finally got it, and I'm most of the way through it now. It's a fantastic book. It is called Behind the Brush, and he is not. It's Fenric Studios. Mm-hmm. It turns out
he does at Adepticon for the first time.
He's a great guy.
Wonderful.
He's a fantastic guy. And it turns out he's not only an amazing miniature painter, he also has professional training in psychology. And so this is a book that's not only kind of up my alley in terms of like psychology and positive thinking and things like that, and habit forming and those sorts of things, but it's also it's right in my wheelhouse because he's also a miniature painter, and all the stuff that he's talking about, he relates it back to miniature painting, and it's a fantastic book. Like I say, I'm nearly done with it now. I'm sure that when I'm done with it, I'm probably going to go back to the beginning with a notebook and a highlighter and a pen, and like go through this book, at a deeper level. But it's a great book. It's worth. We'll put a link down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are my favorite types of
in the
books.
clickety bits.
Yeah.
No, it's
where
fantastic.
you like
Great
sit
book.
there and I had a college professor who was a lit professor who basically kind of smacked it out of us. He's just like, you guys treat books like as though they're these sacred objects that can't be defiled. You bought it. Like, get the most out of it.
I did that for decades, and finally I kind of broke myself in that idea.
Yeah, make notes.
Make it your own.
If I don't want to write in the book, put a note card in there and write in the note card. You know what I mean? Like, make it yours. Yeah. So I definitely have a good appreciation for that kind of style of notating those books and stuff like that. And honestly, like, I don't gain a whole lot of information by just reading it once. It's usually I need it to be a bit more interactive, and so I had a thought, write that down, or whatever that case.
Well, there's a couple of different things. One, I tend, like, I will read a book once, and then I'll go back later and I'll read it a second time, and sometimes I'll even go back and read it a third time. It's amazing how frequently I pick up new information on the second or third or even the fourth read. James Gurney's book. Well, this isn't really an episode.
Oh my gosh!
Book,
Yeah.
Here we are, but James Gurney's
Color and Light.
That's the one. Because I've read 2 of his books so far, but Color and Light is one that I've gone back and read a couple of times, and I'm sure I'll go back and read it again.
I got that book when I first started painting miniatures as like art, right?
Yeah.
And because everyone said so, I think I retained 2% of that book. It's so insane. Like,
and each chapter is like such an easy read, and then you move on in like you're 20 pages down the line. You're like, wait, what did you say back there?
Yeah. Well, so not this past Adepticon, but the previous, right? I took your color theory class.
Yeah.
Color theory is one of those things where it doesn't matter if it's a beginner level or more advanced. Like, I feel like I'm always going to glean a little bit of information in it.
Yeah.
And I like seeing people's approaches. And, your approach, I really, really liked. I was able to kind of pick and choose some things. But your explanation of color gamuts, right? My first introduction in color gamuts was in his book. And I'm like, I understood the words, but how the hell do I apply this? I had no idea. But then looking back on it, I kind of get it a little bit more. I take a class here, I talk with a person there, and you just kind of slowly piecing that kind of puzzle together.
Well, and you build it up slowly,
Yeah, but much like miniature painting, right? Like sometimes you need to build those layers up little by little and trusting that process, right? And it's like, well, this looks like garbage right now, but that's because I can see the primer through it or my zenithal highlight or whatever. But eventually you're like, oh, yeah, this is looking pretty good. I think I get it now. I'm understanding this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I totally understand. And, those types of resources, I think, are incredibly valuable, right? Like, I like to do in order to learn. Right?
Yep.
But get outside your comfort zone a little bit. So I'll read through a chapter of this, or, I'll do something a little bit different. And because I'm in a different mindset, because I'm wiser now, right? Well, I hope I'm wiser.
Right.
Because I've spoken to more people about this X topic, Y topic, whatever. Now I'm in a different mode entirely to read that topic of color gamuts, for example, and kind of, interesting. So, like,
well, and it's interesting too because like everyone's got like a slightly different take on color theory, right?
Yeah.
And it. Let's face it, some of them are bad, but most of them are good.
Yeah, sure.
It's been I have not talked to very many people in the miniature hobby that had like just what I felt was just a completely wrong take.
Sure.
So, but you start digging around YouTube and you start watching some stuff after you've learned some stuff, and you're like, that no, that's that no, that's not right.
Sure.
So,
But all of these things I think are super helpful to kind of like bring it around is
yeah,
all of these little things that you do, right? You're reading like a self-help book, or you're
yeah,
looking at YouTube tutorials, or
yeah,
rereading a book about miniature painting, about art, can kind of help reignite that passion and
yeah.
repair that relationship which may
Well,
be
and
damaged.
it can kind of reignite that spark too, right? Like it kind of that. Ooh, that's cool. I want to try that. How would I
Yeah.
do that on a miniature?
Yep.
How would I solve that problem? Right, and it starts getting you into that problem solving, and it kind of reignites your creativity and your curiosity, right?
Yep. Yep.
And honestly, if people just remember to be curious, like
For
just
sure.
ask the question, right? That can usually kind of overcome that initial inertia of like sitting still.
Yeah.
Just start asking
And,
yourself, how would I do that? You know?
and also be comfortable with not knowing the answer, that you're going to have to figure out that answer, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
of
the
course.
curiosity is about, especially within something as hands-on as like miniature painting and stuff.
Oh, sure, sure.
So that actually is a fairly good segue. I'd love you to tell your story, your Monte Sansovino story.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's such a great story.
Well,
I relate to it so much.
well, I mean, okay. So, it was 2023, I think, that I went to Monte Sansovino. Yep, 2023. I just had to go look it up real quick.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I had been to Italy. It was obviously the first time I'd ever been to Monte Sansovino. I had heard a whole lot about it, and was, dying to go. I brought two models with me. I entered standard. First of all, let me just say that town and that weekend and the people who assemble there, like, there's nothing like it. There's nothing
Yeah.
like it in the world. There really isn't. I had an absolute blast. The old world stonework, the steep hills, all the walking, all the hanging out under the pavilion and meeting new people and having it's mm, just chef's kiss, man. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back. Right.
Yeah.
But
It's
so
the
I went.
pilgrimage.
It is, right? Well, that's part of the thing too. Is like it's in a part of Italy where you have to be pretty dedicated to get there, because it's not easy to get there,
Sure.
especially here from the States. Like, it's a 24-hour trip to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're traveling for a day to get there, and you spend like 4 days, 3-4 days, and then it's a day to get home. So you got to be pretty dedicated to go. And I was, and I someday I will be when I can afford it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so I went. I had two pieces. I entered them both in standard, and generally and this is 2023, so it was what, 3 years ago. I wasn't as good a painter as I 3 years ago, right?
Yeah. It's crazy.
So long ago. It's really weird that how long ago it was, and yet it feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but
That's the beauty of these events, though.
oh yeah, yeah. And I went. I put two pieces into standard. I think they're both in, like, I forget which. One of them was in storytelling, which is kind of like their diorama category, and the other one was in just painting. It was a 75 mil figure, and I was telling myself, I was telling everyone, it's just an honor to be here. It doesn't really matter what I get. I yada yada yada, right? And I was telling, and later on, reflecting back, I think I was telling so many different people that same thing, not because I was trying to convince them. I was trying to convince me.
Oh yeah.
Because deep down, I wanted gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Deep down.
I understand that.
Because, and not just, so I entered standard, not master's class, right? Mm-hmm. Not master's division, standard. And generally the rule of thumb is, When you get gold in standard, you are ready to play in masters.
Yeah. And that Masters in Monte San Sabino is
It's
unlike
insane.
any other.
Yeah.
It is truly like deserving of the word Masters.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where I want to play. Like that's where I want to be. Like that's the kind of painting I want to do. That's
Yep.
right. That's the goal, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I got 2 silvers, one for each piece in standard, and I did not realize how badly I wanted gold until I got silver.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
Now, make no mistake, silver in standard at Monte is an incredible achievement.
Agreed.
But it felt like the first loser.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was a donkey kick to the guts, and I was not ready for it.
And this whole time you're preparing yourself, trying to convince yourself that like I'm just happy to be nominated.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then to get a gut punch like that.
And I didn't realize how badly I wanted gold until I got silver. And that hurt a lot. And but I finished the trip, had a great time, and I came home and I couldn't paint. I felt awful. I felt terrible about myself. I was blaming myself for all kinds of things. Like, why didn't I try harder? I was looking back at the past several years. I'm like, all this time I had that I wasted that I could have been practicing. Look at all that stuff. Like, why are you such a fuck up, Dan? Why are you, why didn't you get there? Like, you're not good enough, right? And like everything you can imagine, right, was me directing all that venom and all of that disappointment and all of that toxicity right back at myself. And I couldn't pick up a brush for months. I didn't
Wow.
it was probably close to 6 months before I even picked up a brush. I couldn't do it. I felt awful. I felt demoralized. I felt and I couldn't do it.
Well, okay, so when you say demoralized, that's a really interesting word. Would you dive just a little bit deeper into that, right? Like that's a very strong word. Like,
Yeah.
why demoralized?
Because I realized that I was not as good as I thought I was. I was not as good as I wanted to be. I was not as good, right? I was not as good as the bar I had set for myself. And so then I looked back and started kicking myself for all the reasons why I wasn't at that bar, right?
Sure.
And really down on myself for all those. So yeah, I felt like I had failed myself. I had failed. I'd failed everyone around me. I was a failure.
Sure.
Failure, right?
Failure with a silver, right? Looking back on it, you're like,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
a failure with a silver.
Oh God, I was a fucking stupid. I was a dumbass.
I get that. Yeah.
Right. But in the moment, right, and that was a spiral I was in, right? And finally, a friend of mine, we got to chatting one night over Discord, and he's like, "Hey, man, you want to play some Valheim?" Right? And I had played some Valheim before. It's like I don't play a lot of video games, but my Achilles heel for video games is the open world survival,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Kind of, you don't have an objective except to just kind of go and be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's open world. There are objectives. You can get there, but you can take your time getting there. You can take different routes, whatever you want to do. And there's like a building and crafting component, which I always really enjoy in a game because I like to build castles or build structures and yada yada, right? And so I still play Valheim occasionally today, and I still enjoy it. Right? It's a great game. But he's like, hey man, like if you just need to play some games, like just get a hold of me. And so we ended up playing most of a playthrough of Valheim over the course of like, a couple of months or whatever. But then, and I always knew that I always knew I wasn't going to give up painting. I just couldn't do it then.
Right. It was more about the time in between is what was up in the air.
And some of it was, like time heals all wounds, so to speak, right? So after a while, like I started kind of thinking a little differently. And a lot of it was playing a game with a friend. We'd just chat about whatever, right? And that created enough space for me to start thinking. And then somewhere along the line, and this is kind of where I started picking up, like watching YouTube videos on like procrastination and motivation and some of these things. And so in one of them, I either read it or I saw it in a YouTube video or something, but I came across this phrase where it was like you like repairing your relationship with your craft. And like you, that just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah,
and
it's a great turn of phrase. It really is.
Yeah. I started thinking of my painting as a separate entity from myself. There is me, and then there is my practice. There is my painting, and it's over here. And my painting was not me. It was separate from me. It was over here, but it was something I engaged in. It was something I did. I realized at some point, like, that relationship that I had with that activity had been damaged. It had been betrayed. It had been, and initially I was still kind of, steaming through all of that stuff. And I was like, well, my painting betrayed me. I'm like, no, I betrayed my painting. Right. Because I lost sight.
Your painting didn't betray you. You betrayed your painting.
Yeah.
I'll let that marinate for a second. That's a really interesting perspective. That's a great perspective, especially to mend.
Well, because it was, and it was because, and we can get into this a little bit more here in a minute too, which was, why was I painting? Because somewhere along the line, I was also, I was still like looking through Instagram and all that sort of stuff. Roman Lapat had a quote of his, and I'm going to butcher it. And I've gone back several times now and looking for it, and I can't find it. But I know it was Roman Lapat because it was on one of those green sheets with the text, right? It was just like a Romanism, a quote from Roman.
Yep.
And this is not it exactly, but this is the way I have remembered it for myself over the years, right? It is basically know for yourself why you paint. Right?
Yeah.
And this comes up a lot in my mental game class, right? Like, know for yourself why you paint, right? And I started to really why do I paint? Why did I get started painting? And I realized those two reasons were separate.
Separate how?
Well, I got started painting I got started painting because I had backed a Kickstarter and had no idea what I was getting myself into. And so I started painting just to figure out how to paint these things that I bought from Kickstarter that were like very expensive. But as I got into it, like I was painting for D&D. So I was painting to play games with my friends, and I was painting to enhance that experience. And the more I painted then, the more I kind of fell in love with it, right? And leading up to Monte Sansevino, what I realized was I was painting for validation. Right?
Circling back to that extrinsic versus intrinsic battle.
When I was painting, when I started, I was painting for intrinsic reasons. I wanted to have something to put on the table. I enjoyed the process more. I was learning more. I was more curious. I was like, how do I do this? I don't know. How do I paint this leather strap? I don't know. Go find a tutorial. Watch a 30-minute tutorial on YouTube and come back and spend 15 minutes try to figure it out. Excuse me. So initially my painting was much more intrinsically motivated.
Sure.
And leading up to Monte Sansovino, I really wanted gold because of what it meant. It meant
Sure.
that I was ready to play in Masters, right? And that's a very extrinsic motivator, right?
Sure.
And
Sure.
so
It's
when I
almost
didn't-
like everything kind of slowly
everything
shifted.
warped. Everything
Yeah.
warped. Everything twisted
Yeah.
around. And so that's how I had betrayed my painting, right? I had forgotten, and about this time, I was thinking about, okay, I just need to repair my relationship with painting. I need to go back to my roots, back to the reason I started painting, and I went down. I had backed, Reaper Bones 5. Like, holy shit, I'll never get all those painted. It's kind of like going to the grocery store when you're hungry and you end up buying way too many. Yeah, so that's
Way too
kind of
many
where I
bad
was.
decisions. Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. So I backed Bones 5 hard, right? So I've still got like hundreds of minis down there and I just went down to that box and just like rifled through and started picking out a few things, and I was like, that one looks fun. And so I just started painting Reaper Bones figures. I'm like, I am not going to take any pictures of this. I'm not going to post this anywhere. I don't care if it ever gets finished. I'm just playing. I'm just having fun. I'm getting back to like why I started painting in the first place. I need to fall in love. I needed to fall in love again.
So you kind of shifted, and then you're like, well, I'm not done with painting. But
Right.
I need to paint for fun. I need to paint for me again, right?
Yeah.
Like, go through
Yeah.
and, well, this may never ever see the light of day ever again. And that's okay.
Well,
There's nothing wrong with that.
Like, I never took pictures of those minis. I never posted them anywhere. Those were for me. And they're not great. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I had fun doing them. And it was probably about 5 or 6, maybe 7 minis in. We were coming up on Nova. We were about a month and a half or so away from Nova. And and I knew, like, once I started painting again, it wouldn't take very long where I wanted to do something, for display again. Sure enough, about 5, 6 minis in, I was like, I started looking around okay, what have I got that I could do for Nova?
Yeah.
Right.
You start hunting like, ooh,
Yeah.
that
I'm like,
looks good. That looks
right?
good.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And that was the Odin bust that I painted. Right. And I pulled that miniature. I think it was Black Crow. Which,
Black
by the
Crow,
way,
yeah.
Black Crow makes their casts are beautiful. They go together so well. Like, I love Black Crow miniatures. They're just really good.
Gorgeous.
And I started painting that, and I just had so much fun painting that miniature. And was I painting it for a competition? Sure. But but I had fallen in love again. And I don't know how, like, I don't know.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want to stay curious.
Yeah, yeah.
So you just do these Reaper Bones minis, right? You're painting to fall in love again.
Just
You pick up
D&D
this-
figures.
Yeah, you pick up this
Yeah.
arguably just gorgeous bust, right? This Odin bust,
Yeah.
which is a altogether different task.
Yeah.
Why was it still? Why was it fun again for you? Because one could argue that like going from something like this for D&D to something like that for a display with this whole elaborate that's a tall task. What made it fun again?
So what made it fun was my motivation was different. It was intrinsic again. Like those little, like when I stopped painting, right, and I realized that I needed to repair my relationship with my painting, right. It's like when you have a fight with a significant other, right, or someone that a friend or something like that. It takes work to repair that relationship. It takes work, right, to get back on. If you lost trust or if you've damaged that relationship somehow, like you have to invest in that relationship again, right?
Yeah. That's a great word. That's a great word.
And so those little Reaper pieces were just me investing in my painting again and getting back to why I painted, right? Like, so going back to the Roman thing, know for yourself why you paint. Why was I painting, right? And I like prior to Monty, there was a lot of the painting process that I didn't necessarily enjoy. I enjoyed the outcome. I enjoyed the finished piece. But the process to get there was boring or tedious. Not so much boring, but it was tedious. It was work. It was like, it was drudgery, right?
There was so there was like a specific step or whatever that you were like, ugh, I just don't want to do this.
Well, you get
But I
into the
have
ass
to.
phase, and then you gotta like, you just gotta push through the ass phase, right?
Yeah.
But after Monte and just like doing those little pieces, and I didn't care how they turned out. Like, yeah, I was still like some volumetrics on them, but they weren't refined. It was just me going through the process and like falling in love with the process again. And so that bust that I did of Odin was me like just being in love with the whole process. And right. And since then I have found myself more and more like much more engaged in the whole like the outcome means less to me now than the process of getting there
I think
because of
that's
what I learn, because of what I do, like the habits I'm cultivating, the techniques that I'm improving on, that sort of thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
The I think that's really 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 insightful, right? For not, I mean, me, but also the audience, and for anybody who is really trying to, I guess reconnect, reignite that passion for what it is that we genuinely love to do. And
Right.
I think understanding that this whole thing that we do, this craft, this passion, this art, is a process through and through. And I'm not just talking about base coating, blending, and such.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
everything from setting yourself up for success. So making sure that your space is available, making sure that your paints are organized in a way that
Yeah.
set yourself up for that success, so
Right.
that you don't have to go through those processes of like, oh, I gotta find this and find that. It's like it's already
Right.
there.
Oh,
You can just sit
yeah.
and go, right?
Well,
Being
and fine
engaged.
tuning your workflow, right? Like you create your workflow, and you've got to fine tune your workflow. You got to discover what works well for you, and discover what does not work well for you, and prune those things off that don't work well for you, and nourish and grow those things that do. Right? It's your workflow, like your space, your environment. Like if you can have some dedicated space where you can just sit down and go, that's
Yeah.
how like so it makes such a difference. It makes such a huge difference.
It helps you switch into that engagement mode that
Yeah.
much faster.
Right.
Because so part of the thing that really like tickles my brain with this passion of mine is I'm kind of like how I really like golf is that these micro problem solving, right? Where you're trying to figure out why something may not be working or what can be done better, and you're
Right.
trying to kind of come up with these solutions all throughout. And like I say, growth happens outside your comfort zone. Try something new.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to do it, and while that's daunting because like, well, I've got
Oh,
this
of course.
picture in my head,
Yeah.
but how do I reverse engineer it back to its simplest steps? Instead of going into that mode of like, oh, I don't know how to do it, I'm scared to do it, so I just won't do it.
Right.
Proceeding with that step and being actively engaged. And so sometimes that might mean turn off YouTube, turn off the music, that
Right.
television show, and really
Yeah, yeah.
sit with it for a moment. Right? I'm in the
Yeah.
middle of reading a fantasy book, right? So I like you, like to switch back and forth to whether it's like a podcast or a more
Yeah, yeah.
self-help book, or sometimes I just need escapism, right? And I'm reading the First Law trilogy, and I'm on the second book, and
Okay.
it's pretty interesting. I really really like it.
It's
There's
popular.
there's this saying that he says in it that I'm like, well, that's way deeper than what I thought I was getting out of this fantasy book.
Yeah.
And it is better to do the thing than to live with the fear of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think about that. I think about that often, right? So
Yeah.
just, hey, what's the worst that could happen? I learned something.
Right. Yeah.
That's not bad, right?
Yeah.
And so having that like level of engagement,
Mm-hmm.
I think is really important. And I want to talk about one thing. My very first hobby mentor, Seth Amsden, an absolute lunatic.
Really cool guy. I love his work, by the way.
He's an absolute lunatic, and he knows what he's talking about, right? You have to kind of go for that ride with him, right? So one of the things is that when he kind of took me under his wing, he saw potential in me, which I'm incredibly grateful and flattered for.
Sure. Yeah.
But one of the things that he said, I want you to remember this, and this I think would be really good for you, Dan, for the audience as well, is that there are 4 stages of competence. All right?
Yeah.
If you think about it like a little, four square thing, right?
Yeah.
And on the top left corner, you've got unconscious incompetence.
Yep.
You're bad and you don't even know why. That's
Right.
where we all start.
You don't even know that you're bad. You're terrible, and you don't even know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you get into the conscious incompetence. Like, yeah, I'm bad, but I know what I'm doing wrong, and I'm actively repairing that.
Right.
And
I'm bad, but at least I know I'm bad. Right.
well, I know I'm bad, and I know the steps to
Yeah.
kind of correct that.
Right.
And he said, this is the most dangerous spot. Right here is the unconsciously competent. You are good, or you're getting better, you're improving, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
And he said, that's the danger zone. And you're always going to slip back and forth between number 3 and 4. And 4 is being consciously competent. Right? And he says, nobody can stay at consciously competent 100% of the time because it's exhausting. You're going to always shift.
So is that the 4th stage? Because
Yes. Consciously competent. You are doing the thing, or you are good, and you know why you're doing that thing. He was saying, be invested and engaged so that you can do the thing and know why you did the thing.
Right.
Why you did that technique, why you did that.
Because the version that I have heard of that was it goes from unconscious incompetence, right, to conscious incompetence, and then to conscious competence. So you're conscious of it and you're competent and you know why. And then the 4th stage, in the version that I've remember reading about, and I'm not saying that what he's told you was wrong. I'm just I have a different version in my head. And then the last stage is unconscious competence.
Sure.
So you're good and you don't even know that you're good. Like it's become, the example would be, this is a related quote from a coach from another world, poker. Was that the student will practice until they get it right. The master has practiced until he can't get it wrong.
Oh yeah.
And I've always loved that quote because it kind of it speaks to a lot of different things. Some of the stuff that you're just talking about, like with the different stages, right?
Yeah.
But also like just how much effort it takes to become a master, right? The master has practiced until he literally cannot get it wrong. He's practiced that much, right?
It's that muscle memory. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. I think they achieve the same ends.
I agree.
And
yeah.
I also may have recited it poorly. Who knows?
Well, and I didn't mean to step on your story.
Not at all. I think the most important thing is in those last 2 boxes, right? The difference between a good painter, great painter, master, whatever word terminology you want to use,
right, sure,
is that active engagement, right?
Yeah.
Is being actively engaged. And the reason why he's put consciously competent at the end is because he said there's no. He says it can often be a little dangerous, and there's not a lot of skill in being able to say, well, I can do the thing. Well, how did you do the thing? I don't know why. It just comes natural. I just did it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and so
Yeah.
he's like, useless was the word he used. He very strong language in that regard, right? And
Yeah.
he goes, because now you can't help others. You can't necessarily like
Right.
lay that soil down for the next wave
Right,
of painters and stuff, right? You can't.
Well, it's
spread
interesting too that he was already like even as he was helping you learn, he was already laying a foundation for you someday being a teacher, right? Because teaching and painting are two different skills,
that. Very much so.
right?
Very much so.
So it's interesting that he was already planting seeds that would germinate later. Because now, now you're an instructor, which is awesome.
And it was one of those things that just someone asked, like, "Do you want to teach?" Why do me? Why? No, you're talking about someone behind me, and then all of a sudden it just like more and more and more, and then getting people say like, "Yeah, you do really good work," and I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Like that's
Right?
That's incredible. You know what I mean?
Right.
But those all of these little concepts, I think they help fill your gas tank from multiple different ways, right? There's not just that one spout, right? You've got all these little things, whether it's playing that game with your friend, whether it's just picking up a mini to paint for the fun of it, learning more actively engaged. But I think you hit it with the nail on the head right there, which is just really sitting with it and examining your relationship. Are you painting for someone else to tell you that you did good?
Right.
I mean, if you are, it's good to know, right?
Yeah, yeah. Right. I mean, know for yourself why you paint.
Sure.
Right.
And it's not to say that like that's a bad thing, right? If you're saying, "Hey, I want a trophy hunt," okay,
Right.
all right, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
As long as you understand that.
And I opened my mental game class with the question of why do you paint? Right. I have asked, and not just the people, not just students in class, right? But I have asked almost everybody I know, why do you paint? Why do you paint? I've probably gotten 100 different answers for that, or more, right? I have never heard a bad answer. Never once have I heard a bad answer. There is no bad answer.
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't think you can get a bad answer, right? Because it's from your unique perspective, and even if yours and my lives are very, very similar, there's still a little difference, right? It's gonna shape your perspective.
Yep. But if you know that for yourself, though, it's a North Star, and that's kind of what I discovered. When I was painting those Reaper Bones miniatures, is like, okay, this is why I paint, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I want that external validation too down the road, right? Ultimately, my goal is gold and masters at Monte. That's where I wanted to get to. But why do I paint? Like it's because I am in love with it, and I don't know how else to explain it. Like I fell in love with it, and I damaged my relationship with my painting. And it took me a long time, but I had to repair it, and I fell in love with it again. And I
had a very rocky road in 2023. Okay, so we're kindred spirits,
right?
So I had the year prior, like the very end of the year, I had a bit of a triple whammy where life tends to kick you in the teeth. I lost my job. Long-term girlfriend broke up with me, and my dog died.
Oh,
all
fuck, dude.
in a very short period, where you're just like,
man, yeah, that sucks. Yeah,
and prior to all that, I wasn't painting all that regularly, and it was like January 4th, January 5th of 2023, and I was in a hole, and I don't know. I don't remember how I saw it, but I saw something pop up for Las Vegas Open. I hadn't been in a while, and I just was like, I wonder if there are still tickets. Oh, there are. Well, I wonder if I can find a hotel room. Oh, okay.
I can.
Let's do it. 2 weeks out. All right, let's just go. And I just so happened to, because I was doing equipment sales for my old boss at the time, and he
Okay.
slipped me some
Yep.
cash from time to time. And
Sure.
a sale went through. He slipped me $400 in cash, and I was like, all right, I can kind of afford this.
There
Screw
you
it,
go.
let's go.
Right.
And so I went. I was like, I haven't painted in a little while. Like nothing is very good. A lot of it was just
Right.
kind of painting for the painting's sake. So I brought a bunch of stuff. Didn't win a single thing.
Sure.
Didn't expect to win anything because nothing
Right.
was great. But
Yeah, yeah.
I got to meet some amazing people. I got to reunite with amazing people. Right. I met Ben Comets in 2019, Crystal Brush,
Great
on
guy.
accident, and he was such an amazing guy.
Yeah.
2023, I see him down this long stretch of hallway, down those giant casinos, you know the ones.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's Ben Comets. He's probably not going to remember me because it's been 4 years. And he
Right.
just goes, Devin, and comes and gives me a huge hug. And
Nice.
I had
Yeah.
moment after moment after moment after moment of those types of things, of those little things of like, you belong here.
Yeah.
Right? I got to meet a lot of amazing people,
Yeah.
got to do some really cool things, and then like, okay, I didn't win anything. Cool, that's fine. But like
Right.
that whole scenario of getting to reunite with Ben, getting to meet Will Hahn for the first time, reunite with Steve
Right.
Garcia, to meet all these different people that I hadn't
Oh,
seen
sure.
forever.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the very end of the weekend, Steve said, "Hey, I want to look at your minis, give you some feedback." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm honored. That's incredible."
Right.
And so we're
Yeah.
doing this whole feedback sessions. Me, him, and Will all in there. And we're looking at this. Hey, you're doing really good in this. You're not doing so good in this, and all that stuff. And Steve's
Yeah.
quiet, and he's got a figure of mine, and he's looking at it, and I'm thinking like, "Ooh, he's gonna rip it apart. He's gonna rip it apart." And he
Right.
just looks at me and he goes, "I want this." I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Can I have it?" And it was an Imperial Fist Space Marine bust that I had done.
Right.
And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because it's badass and I love it, dude." I was like, "Me?"
Right.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Hell yeah. I want something. I see a lot of potential." And
Yeah.
that just was like, if I didn't have any fire left in me, it just poured gasoline on the whole thing.
You didn't need to win any awards after that, right? Like
No,
that was the
no.
award, right?
Absolutely. And that's,
Yeah.
and
How fulfilling is that too, right?
oh my, it was, I came home almost numb because I was like, what just happened? Like, I guess this is in fact for me. Right. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Adepticon. I'm going to go to, and that was my first Nova's 2023.
Yeah.
And then, me and Steve did a little mini swap and everything like that. And it was just really, really cool. But
Nice.
I say all of this because at the very end of that Las Vegas Open, I had like this epiphany, if you will, of like, this is why I do it. This is why. This is the goal. Yeah, is that connection, and it's
connection.
that,
Yeah.
it's that helping and fostering that connection, that growth.
Yeah.
And I mean, in many different aspects, I have thanked the both of them for those moments, and I have thanked Ben in private, and I've thanked all these different people in these instances where it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you were a big component, even though that little might have been a little moment that you don't even remember. Like that was a
Right.
big reason as to why
Yeah.
I'm still doing this to where I'm at today. And I just
Yeah.
it just exploded after that. Just exploded.
Yeah.
Just
Good.
exploded.
Dude, I'm so happy for you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for me too, because I don't think we might not have met if you hadn't had that
Yeah.
experience, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
For sure.
yeah.
I think about those types of things all the time. Like
Yeah.
those little moments of like little paths and trails that kind of
Yeah,
lead
yeah.
us. All roads lead to Rome, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you think? Like, I guess what would be some like bullet lists, if you will, right? That you could kind of give somebody if someone was asking,
that
them,
would-
like, Dan, how can I repair my relationship, or how can I start, right? How can I start that process?
Well, now see, that's a question that I probably could have used some preparation and research for, but here we go. Let's wing it.
Yeah.
How do you? Well, step one is recognize that your relationship is broken, right? What like if it doesn't feel right, and not just that it's broken, like sit with it for a while, long enough to examine it, and like what is it, right? Dig a little deeper than just like, oh, I don't feel like painting, right? Well, why
Why?
don't you feel like painting? Why?
Ask
And
the
like
question. Yeah.
ask yourself like 5 whys. Like you ask why, you come up with an answer, right? And be honest with it. And then why? And coming up with an honest answer. If you can get 3 to 5 whys, like you're probably there, right?
Well, you're already deeper than most people tend to go, right?
Well, you're deeper than you usually go, because normally we don't think about these sorts of things. But if something is really wrong, like you have to recognize that your relationship with your painting is broken, right?
Yeah.
Or that it's been damaged in some way, right? And this takes a lot of reflection. Like for me, it took literally months. Like from Monte Sansovino to the following Nova. So Monte was in November, and Nova was the following September. So
Sure.
not quite a year. And I
That's
spent
a long time.
it's a long time, right?
Yeah.
And so now, and it was really probably only those last 2 to 3 months where I had picked up a brush again and got started again. So don't wait that long, right? So recognize that there's a problem, and then reflect, and just really be honest with yourself and think about, well, what is it about my relationship that's broken?
Yeah.
Is it? And then make sure to come back to, what are my intrinsic motivations? What are my extrinsic motivations? And do I have them confused, right? Do I have them out of order, right?
Yeah.
It's great. Like we all like external validation. I like it, right? It
sure.
feels good. But if that's the only reason you're doing it, maybe examine that, right?
Yeah.
Why?
For sure. And I want to add to that, right? So
Yeah, go ahead.
I love all of that. I think that everybody not only should, but like deserves to really examine that and really dig a little bit deeper. Whatever that means to you.
Right.
And don't give yourself a time limit to do that.
No,
Right?
don't. Yeah.
Right. Should it be almost a year? Maybe not, but
Maybe not.
If you need that 9 months
Yeah.
to really repair that, like that's what it takes, right?
Yeah.
If you only need a few weeks, well, that's what it takes, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody is so different. Everyone has their own different relationship and such.
Right.
And then in some instances, life gets in the way, right?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Don't give yourself that time limit. Don't get into
Right.
that. Should be right and feel guilty about it.
But then kind of adding on to that though, like don't sit idle. Like
Yep.
right? Like don't like it's easy to procrastinate this and to keep pushing it off and keep pushing it off and keep pushing it off. It's easy to do that, right?
For sure.
And generally, because it's hard work. It's hard internal. Like if you have a therapist that you talk to, this is a great topic, right? Like talk to them about this sort of thing, right? But it's also like don't sit idle. Like keep chipping away at it, right? It's not you don't have to sit down and solve it all in one session, right?
I don't think.
But let it, because
could.
I don't think you could, right?
Yeah.
These things take time, and wounds take time to heal, and trust takes time to reestablish, right? Like, just like any relationship. And so yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I think that should be some homework that I think we as painters, we as miniature artists, as people who are just genuinely motivated and curious and passionate about this, I think that everyone deserves a check-in, right?
Yeah.
Check in with yourself, and I really want to echo
and tend your own garden.
Yeah.
Make sure to tend your garden.
I really want to stress this too, right? We are in a hobby, in a craft, in an art, in a passion, in a world of introverts, right? Be just a little bit more extroverted. Go to that local paint night. Paint with your friends on Discord, right? Be just a little bit more social. We tend to become those hobby hermits, you know?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, painting is such a solitary activity, right? But community is also exceptionally important. As
Absolutely.
human beings are social creatures, right? We are social animals. So even us introverts, we don't like to hear it sometimes. But like introvert, extrovert, I'm like way down over here, right? Like
Sure.
I'm pretty close to, but if life has taught me anything, it's taught me that like, okay, I can be an introvert, but I still need human connection.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so finding ways, conventions, local hobby stores, online Discord communities, like finding ways to connect with other people like yourself is so important.
Yeah.
So,
I very much agree with that because
yeah.
being internal and introspective is fantastic. And I think
Mm-hmm.
everyone owes it to themselves to do that. But
Yeah.
sometimes there needs to be that extra little bit of thing because you never know. You might be in the
Sometimes you
right,
just got to talk it out.
talk it out. You might be in the right mindset
Right.
because someone might say something that because you're in the right mindset, you have that to keep with the garden analogy, that fertile soil for that seed to kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
grow. And then you
Yeah.
can kind of cultivate it on your own. But then don't isolate yourself for too long, right? As
Right.
more of an
Yeah. Yeah.
extroverted person,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of benefit and a lot that you not only can people can do for you, but you can do for others as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to be very much otherly minded in that right I really want to help and serve other people. And so
Yeah.
that's a way for me to kind
Sure.
of examine or not necessarily examine. I guess when I have it cooking in the back of my brain, like right back here,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
allows me to just kind of, well, I'm imparting these lessons to this person, or I'm kind of working through that thing. Oh, you know what? I need to practice what I preach. I need to I need to do the same thing. And there's that growth and development there,
Yeah.
right? That happens, and I think community can be a big aspect of that,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
that's I think those are some two very I think good and insightful steps. And you can get to the minutia of like all the different ways how, but I kind of don't want to because everybody's a little different, right? Like
Yeah,
what you said.
everyone's on their own path. Everyone's taking their own journey, and everyone's
Yep.
got to figure it out for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Now, can you get help? Of course, you can get help, but you've got like no one's coming to save you. Like you're gonna have to save yourself, and people can help, but ultimately, some of this work is deeply personal, and you just gotta sit through it
Yep.
and solve it.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
anyway, but yeah.
That feels like a wonderful way to end this. What do you think?
I think so too. I
Yeah.
think so too. I think so. So for the folks who might be listening or maybe watching on YouTube, a little bit about the here's the commercial part of the podcast. I guess is that so Devin and I plan on doing this once a month, at least for the first 12 months. We may decide to do something different in season 2 if once we get there. But hopefully this is a good example or a good illustration of the kinds of things that we want to share on this podcast. We have
Yeah.
a whole host of topics that we want to dive into. This was just the first one. We've got at some point we'll bring on maybe a guest host. And we'll have other, deeper conversations with other people. But this is the kind of thing that you can be in for. So if you like this sort of thing, if you like us rambling on about deeper subjects, that sort of thing, and curiosity, and you want to join along in this little curious miniature adventure, please find the clickety bits. You know how to use them, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we've talked about in this regard is, we don't want to be in the shallow end. We don't want to wade. We don't want to
No.
dip our toe in. We want to dive head first. And if
Yeah.
you're like minded in that regard, and that let's dive into these topics just a little bit deeper than what maybe you're expecting, or what you never
Right.
heard of, like,
Right.
welcome. We want to hear all of that.
Yeah.
So, like, with that, I just want to remind you, paint something that you love and stay curious.